Chew! Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy, the NRL Fantasy Fanatic, coming at you with a live Supercoach video for round number 2, coming from round number 1, talking about how we went, our ranking, what we could have done better, what are the trades we're looking at, what are the people doing, because we can see who's trading in, who's trading out, what mistakes people are probably going to make going into round number 2, and that's predominantly going to be around trades, making trades when you don't necessarily have to do it. Now, we did a bit of an episode yesterday on the NRL Fantasy. It's a little bit different to Supercoach, but it's similar in so many ways, is that you do not have unlimited trades, and people like to make trades willy-nilly all the time. Someone underperforms, and the first thing you know is they want to be dragging players out, pulling people in. I'm going to say, try to limit your trades as much as you possibly can, especially in these early rounds. Don't just make trades because there's a new cash cow that's predominantly popped up out of nowhere, because there's always going to be cash cows throughout the season. This season is absolutely wild. We've already had a few COVID impacts into this year, and we've already seen some rookies who are going to debut in week number 2 as opposed to the first week. Now, the thing about Supercoach versus Fantasy is that Supercoach, no prices mature until post round 3, or for after they've played 3 rounds in a total of a season. So that means we're not rushing to jump on the next cheapie, because if they're not named week 3, what's the point? You could be shooting yourself in the foot early, someone could get injured. Why would you just want to burn trades for the sake of it? I would heavily suggest that if you can make 0 trades this week, just don't do it. Before we get to any of the trades I'm looking at this week myself, ironically, let's have a look at my team, how I went, talking about what I'm looking at, what I would look to do, and why I'm going to hold those spots. Now, starting off the top, we absolutely killed it this week. If you look at our ranking, we are ranked 1,148. We are just outside the top 1,000 out of 127,000. So we're doing something right. We've done the basic brick building correct, and that's still with $111,000 unspent. So we picked the players that we thought were mature enough to get the scores that we wanted, but we didn't spend all the available coin, because I think there was rotations and different structures that you could have done to do that. Plus, I want to keep that money just in case there's someone who I want to grab in the following round that's a little bit more than the player I've got, and I don't want to miss out on that opportunity, which is a little bit of a different approach when I talk about fantasy to Supercoach. But without further ado, this was my squad for round 1. It was very much the same as I revealed it last Wednesday. I did make some last-minute changes in the halves, which I left in a comment under the video just to make sure everyone was aware of the changes I made. And I thought my halves were a little bit too weak. And I needed to make them I needed to bolster them up, basically, which meant I sold Tommy Turbo into Teddy. Teddy, I captained. Oh, painful, 32 points. Now, you think about it, if I had captained anyone else in my starting lineup, I would have been better off, which is the crazy thing when you think about it. Any other player would have got me a better score, and if you think about it, had I have captained any other player, I could have potentially moved into that top 1,000 quite easily, because at the top, scores are very close to each other. Now, how do we go? Reed Marnie, 37 points. He under-delivered, but you know what? He kicked 3 times from dummy half, and one of them he actually got a 40-20, which is some easy fantasy points. The fact that he's getting kick meters, it was one of those games where in the second half, I was there, I went to the game myself, it was one of those games in the second half where the Titans were just defending, and when a team when you're a hooker and you're on the offense, you generally don't get a lot of ball or attacking stats. So, you know, that's kind of what Reed Marnie was facing with. Then he didn't do a lot of runs, he didn't do a lot of dummy scoots from dummy half, so which is fine. But I'm going to be holding him, absolutely. Chrissy Randall, 47, tackling machine. Payne Haas absolutely killed it. Definitely going to make him my captain's choice for next week. They're up against the Dogs. I think that's the way to go. Dogs looked a little bit shattered, a little bit out of shape, and I expect Haas to go full rein in them. Bullemor was solid. You know, he got a try. His score might be a little bit higher just because of that, but that's fine. Base stats are 45. Can't complain. He's going to be holding the spot. We think he's going to be holding the spot long term, so I don't know why you wouldn't go with him. Maxi King did a terrific job. The main thing from my team this week is that I picked all the players in my 17 that scored the highest points. So none of my benchies, except for my reserves. I could have played with Max King, but geez, Max King, I think, given the HIAs and the Bulldogs, the amount of defense they had to do and the amount of tackling Max King did, really benefited his scores. So glad that I've got him in there. Don't have to make a trade to get him in. I'm not sure why many people wouldn't have him, but I think you've definitely got to get him in when round 3's announced. You might even get a starting spot if Jack Etherington, TPG, one of them get a suspension. He's one suspension away from getting a starting spot, which is pretty sick. Dave Fifita, got 60. I watched the game on the weekend. I made this comment before, but he played 80 minutes, but some of that was just him chilling on the wing. It was extremely odd. It was like he was puffed out and trying to catch his breath. Angus Crichton, 66. I'm expecting him to do a lot more next week. It didn't even look like he was involved that much. He just got a lot of typical point scoring that Crichton does through various attacking methods. Josh Curran, absolute workhorse. Killed it. You couldn't want anyone else in your squad right now. He absolutely killed it. High props to him. We recognised that last year. We thought he was a little bit undervalued because at the end of the last year, he wasn't playing as many minutes and he had that broken collarbone or broken arm injury. Bobby Fermor on a losing team would have liked him to have gotten a try at some point, given that the Titans Eels was the highest scoring game of the weekend, but it just wasn't meant to be. Tuilagi did well, 46. He did a very big first half, the second half not so much, but it is what it is. Momo just didn't get any time. Moses, 89, killed it. I'm so glad that I bolstered him in last minute over the Hastings combo that I had in the halves. Schneider, unfortunately, he's gone away with COVID, but he did a pretty good score for his price value. Shawnee Johnson, apparently he's not back till round 5, 6, question mark. 66, one of the highest scoring 5'8". I actually think the 5'8" position is one of the most difficult positions to fill this year, because it is, do you go with nuffies, like your Lachlan, Amone, etc., or do you try and fill that in with a big name and hopefully they go big? But there's not that many big names. We'll get to that in a minute when I look at my trades. Going further down, Jack Bird, 69, got a try. Really happy with that. Aitken, 58. Tago, 71. Penasini, 47. The bench didn't really do much, but we're happy with the core that we hold in there. And of course, that's what we spoke about in our last video. Having those second rows in those spots just cements higher scoring ceilings rather than these low score averages that centers can get. Tedesco, super disappointing. Lowest scoring player in my 17, yet captain. Oof. Papenhuyzen went 71. And I still think Pap's got so much more points in him. I just think in the Tigers game, he was there. He was making some runs, a couple line breaks here there. But I just think they'll be looking a lot more for him coming up this week. And I genuinely think he'll even score more. I might even captain him. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to see how that plays out. But the thing I want to look at the most now is what is the market telling us? We've had one day since Team List Tuesday. What is everyone doing? Now, most of the trades, top 10, very good summary of what people are moving into. Brandon Smith out. He's injured. Round 5, expected to come back from a broken hand. Who knows? Sean Johnson, injured. Reed Marnie, geez, I'm not a big fan. Let's have a look at the players everyone's pulling out. I can agree with the top 5 trade outs. I don't know if I agree with the fact that people are already kicking out Luke Keary this early. Like, guys, it's only been one round. He's going to be playing, I think that the Knights, I think the Roosters didn't have that great of a game. And that it's kind of hard for a half to score when that happens. But I just think that Luke Keary was not the problem, and I think you'll find that he's going to score some bigger scores as the weeks go on. If you're trying to get rid of him now to avoid his potential down drop in value, it's too early. You've got another week for that. See how it is. Matto, he's out till round 4. Reed Marnie, people are trading him out. 2,222 trades. You want to talk about, burning trades? Really, guys? Come on, Reed Marnie being pulled out, Luke Keary. I agree with everyone else. If they're injured, you need people to play. Totally understand. Let's have a look who everyone's bringing in. So, Appy seems to be one of the main contenders. Tago, surprised most surprised not everyone already had him, considering there wasn't that many good options for the center role, and he was one of the cheaper ones that you knew could have a high-rise ceiling, but each their own. Jack Wighton, I think, isn't a surprising one. I'm actually looking at the Jack Wighton trade myself from Sean Johnson. We'll get to that in a little bit. It'll make more sense when I have context of all the 5/8s that are available. Harry Grant, again, typically I think if you're pulling him in for Brandon Smith, fair play. Given that Brandon Smith's out, probably going to be playing 80 minutes. I think that's what everyone's hoping for. I don't, if you're trading Marnie to Grant, I don't know. I just think you're burning trades. Haas, again, surprised most people didn't have him in. These are some and kick out. People want to bring him in. Oh man, I'm surprised. Surprised people are trying to chase those early points. We don't even know how next week's going to look. Liam Martin's also coming in. Will Smith, 3,000 people. Geez, people are just trying to get that quick buck when they turn around. When they turn around to Will Smith, who's actually moved to the Interchange. I don't know if that's the right move yet, guys. Stephen Crichton can understand. Totally. He is converting, so he'll get some more points. And Selwyn Cobbo, I think people like the look of him. Geez, he could have scored, 4 or 5 times more on the weekend against the Rabbitohs on the Friday. I believe it was a Thursday night. He could have scored so many tries. I think he's just got to be bled more into the game. But fair play if you bring him in. As for me, we kind of touched on it a second ago. I don't have any injuries. I'm not rushing to trade anyone in. Sean Johnson is the only one I'm looking to trade in. And again, I'm going back to a point I mentioned earlier. I genuinely think that the 5/8 position is the most difficult position to trade in this year. Just look at the positions that you've got there. I mean, Will Smith, people are just chasing that early money bulge. And we can do that next week. Like, we can bring him in for Lachlan if we thought it was going to be worth it. But I'm going to hold off for now. Jackie Wighton's there. Let's read the comment. While cheap, he's moved back to the bench. We'll put a cap on it. Prices and his potential price rise over the coming 2 to 3 weeks. Keep tabs. Expect him to spell. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not that desperate to bring him in just yet. So I'm definitely going to be holding for now. I think people are pulling the trigger way too early. Jack Wighton is only at 5%. Jake Cliff, Dearden, Billy Walters, Albert Kelly, Luai, Croker, Moylan. And if we go by picked in teams, okay, we've got Lachlan and Amone. I don't think most people will be playing them because they'll be on the bench. There's Keary, Hastings, Johnson, Mann, Burton, Walker. The only two for me that I'd be looking at bringing in, because I am limited in dollar value, I can't bring in Cody Walker, although Walker's been a little bit suspicious this year. Not looking... He's 100% at the moment. I don't know if it's because of the Haas pairing or the way that they're coaching that squad or what the game plan is, but it's just not working for me. I do like Jack Wighton, and my reason for that is because he's going to be holding the spot. And even though he's the 5'8", he's the primary half at the moment. He's the guy everyone's looking to pass the ball to make something out of nothing. The fact that he teamed up with Schneider and now Frawley, who's filling in for Schneider on COVID leave, and Jamal Fogarty when he comes back, means Wighton will be the point scorer of that squad, in my opinion. So the only trade I'm looking to do this early is to bring in Jack Wighton. The other 5'8", I mean, I could look at Will Smith and I could trade him in for Lachlan next week. There's no rush. For all we know, Will Smith could get injured this week. Like, we don't know what's going to happen, so I don't think there's a reason to just jump on that just yet. But I'd be looking to move Jack Wighton in, and it's not just because I'm chasing his high score. It's just because I just think they're going to be relying on him a lot more. Now that puts more money in my cash. So as you can see, I haven't spent my full salary, which is fine. We can definitely do that. Looking into next week and what opportunities we can make of it before the price rises. Which is going to be exciting stuff. But that's pretty much it for me, guys. I don't have much more to extend this video. We could go on. We've hit the 15-minute mark, but I could go on for ages talking about other cheapies and cash cows and Josh Kings and etc. But I think the cheapies out there that you can make the most amount of money on is pretty obvious. I just think because Supercoach relies on you to have 3 games under your belt, or that 3rd game to make money move, it's not worth moving anything yet. You just don't know the future. You're better off holding on to your trades while you can, making the most of those trades when you're in the origin period and you need to cover, because there's a lot of spots to cover. So for me, this is my squad I'm looking at. Just going to complete that trade now. I am very, very suspicious on some of the trades people have been making out. I think Supercoach is super cool that you can see the most amount of players traded out and in. It's kind of good and bad because you can kind of pick up what people are doing and mirror them, but I just feel like this is the way to go for me. But guys, let me know in the comment section down below what trades you would have made, how you went in the first week, what your game plan is looking to be. Is there anything that I've missed? What would you like to see in these videos? Would you like me to just have more discussion about certain players or what I'm thinking or my thoughts? At the moment, I'm pretty happy with this squad. The only adjustment I might make is putting the reserve off Firma and onto King. I'm not 100% sold on that just yet because we know King's coming off the interchange, and that could mean anything. 30 minutes, 40 minutes, don't really know yet. Firma, while probably not going to be playing 80 minutes, could have a big game. You know, they're up for it this week, the Titans. All it takes is like a try to get through, and next thing you know, he's pumping absolutely brilliant scores. But he may be someone who I could trade next week to a higher performing second row center. Maybe someone who I can see the break-evens are extremely low. But for now, that's my position. It's the NRL Fantasy Fanatic coming at you with a Supercoach video. I hope you guys do well. And be sure to let me know down in the comments. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more. We'll be making more weekly vids. And best of luck. Whoosh.